I'm so pumped about our new format.
Hello everyone and welcome back to this week's Remind podcast. My name's David Masterton and I'm joined by Dr. Ashleigh Moreland. And today, AITA.
Which stands for Am I the Asshole? I had to whisper that.
Because we don't swear on this.
No, we don't swear.
No. We beep sometimes. One of us tends to have a propensity to swear. So, all right. So, depending on how long it goes, we've got a couple, maybe one, maybe two scenarios that we're going to talk through from from our own perspectives, whether that be
We're
good,
going to
bad, or
basically
indifferent.
psychoanalyze an anonymous post.
Okay. All right.
So I see this a lot, right? The reason we decided to do a style of podcast like this is because I see this all the time online where people just don't know how to interpret a situation and they don't know what they don't know. And then a whole heap of people weigh in and they're trying to say, oh yeah, they were the asshole or you were the asshole or whatever. So we're going to look at a scenario. The scenario that we're going to look at, I'm going to just read it out, okay, anonymously. And Dave and I are going to unpack it and basically apply a whole heap of the things that we've spoken about in our podcast over the last 100 odd episodes, but actually apply it to real world life. So this one is a relationship one, and it's a very, very common one. It is, I feel a little ridiculous even writing this, but my partner and I just had a huge fight over one dirty dish in the sink. I had a long day, and when I saw it sitting there after they had walked right past it, I felt so triggered. I mentioned it casually and they immediately got defensive, saying, it's just one dish. Why are you making such a big deal out of that? And their comments set me off. I told them it's not just about the dish. It's about the fact that I always seem to be the one cleaning up. And then suddenly we were arguing about chores, effort, respect, who does more, who does less. Now they're acting like I overreacted, saying I'm just looking for things to fight about. But I feel like they're missing the bigger picture. This is about fairness and consideration. So am I AITA for turning a dirty dish into a full-blown argument, or are they just dismissing my feelings? Okay. So there's a lot.
Replace dish with
dirty washing on the floor with
and dirty washing on the floor next to the dirty washing basket, right?
Yep. Or a big one for me is the empty toilet. Like empty toilet paper roll on the on the holder hasn't been changed.
Yeah, or
just the small little things.
Having something in the pantry or in the fridge that is empty.
Oh yes.
That's another great one.
100%.
So, and here's a funny thing. While I love these styles, there's always so many things left out, right? Because to properly understand what's going on. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to be curious around a number of things.
Yeah.
To try and figure out, okay, if this is the case, then that. If that's the case, da.
Yeah, exactly.
But going back to my own lived experience, boy, have I been in those situations before. Normally, the one which is telling the other person they're overreacting, right? And justifying.
Yeah,
right?
See, I'm the one who's upset and doing the overreacting.
Oh, maybe we could play this out, a bit of role play, a bit of Remind role play.
Absolutely. I love that.
So yep.
I was going to say, for me, the logical place to start is the dish isn't the problem, it's the trigger.
Catalyst.
But trigger for what? And so at face value, and I have this conversation a lot with clients. I literally do a activity with people where I'll say, I want you to finish this sentence. It hurts me when, and then write out the whole entire list. It frustrates me when, and write out the whole entire list. And then we look at what's this really bringing up for you. And so when I look at it and go, okay, well, at face value, it looks like they're arguing over a dish in the sink, but it's not about the dish. It's about what the dish represents.
Yeah. And that's where the person that she's dealing with is trying to logically bring it back to, right?
I don't think there was any gender revealed in that post, by the way. So
said... Did I say person or...
You said she. Maybe because I'm going to play the role of the she. Right?
Okay, all right. So
what could it represent? When they see that dish, what could that represent? What could it really be bringing up? So the things that come to mind for me is I feel unappreciated because I'm the only one who ever cleans up. You can see there's no other dishes here, and you just went and put that dirty dish in the damn sink and created more work for me. Mm-hmm. So feeling unappreciated, feeling unseen, feeling like there's an uneven or unequal distribution, I guess, of responsibilities.
Yep.
And like, why am I the only one noticing that there's no other dirty dishes here? Maybe I'll just clean the dish, you know?
Well, exactly. And all of that, not feeling appreciated and, then there's projections as well.
Exactly.
Like, do they just think that I'm here to clean the dishes?
Yeah. Yep.
What do they do to help out? Because I think there's so many dynamics at play here. Because I think in a relationship, do you do everything the same or are you equal? Because equal doesn't necessarily mean everything's the same.
Yeah.
You are the same as that person.
Yeah.
So it could be that healthy relationships, someone does the dishes and the cooking and the other one does taking out the bins and the manual labor around the house, or however you divvy up the overall maintenance of it. But what I found from my own experience is that if you're going to get so upset over a dish, let's look at everything that we do together. And then I'll try and justify or sort of say, if you're going to have this kind of response over a dish, then look at everything else. You don't do enough around the house. Okay, well, what else do I do to contribute to this relationship? I would then, instead of, because I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to play.
Mate, if this was you in my house trying to rationalize and justify, I would want to punch you. I would literally want to punch you in the face.
And you're not alone. But this is.
I want to come back to if that's what I see in the dish, not I, but like the representative of this scenario. If I was seeing that dish as I'm unappreciated, I'm unseen, this is not fair, blah blah blah. Imagine I want you to embody the partner who left the dish there. What do you see the dish as? Because you're not seeing the dishes, I don't appreciate them, I don't love them, I don't care about them. That's not real for you. So what does the dish mean to you that is different to what the dish means to me?
If I was to embody the old me, it means nothing.
Exactly. It's just a dish in the sink.
It's not even that, right? Now what I'm seeing is I'm not even seeing the dish. Yeah. I'm now seeing a reaction, which is incredibly heightened. And say from
but the reaction is in response to the dish, but...
I agreed, but from my viewpoint, again, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, we'll come back to what's a probably more healed way to deal with it. But the dish is not important to me.
Yeah.
The dish means nothing to me. Mm-hmm. What I'm witnessing right now is important to me.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It's disturbing. It's frustrating. It's illogical.
Yes.
It's just
so the
messy.
Threat to you becomes the reaction of 100%. The partner about the dish. And I think that's really important because let's say, I'm going to use you and I'm going to pretend it's me as being triggered and you...
wanting to punch me in the face.
Yeah.
Yep.
If my reaction to the dish is going to be the threat to you where you're feeling attacked and accused for something that's not real, because to you it's just a dish. It's not you not appreciating me or you not seeing me or anything else. It's just a dish. But me commenting on it makes you feel attacked and accused over something that you think is pointless and trivial.
Yes.
Which is why you then go and try and point out how pointless and trivial it is, which is then triggering me into my stress response. And that's the stress response dominoes, right?
And then we escalate into, House War 3, and that's been a very common theme because I'm sort of justifying. I'm angry and I'm hurt, but I'm also sort of going, if you're going to then create all of this emotion around this irrelevant thing, then let's look at everything else I do as a person, everything else I contribute, and let's zoom out for a bit, right? And then there is a point where I can zoom out far enough where I'm trying to lead you onto this plate is irrelevant. And during that, it's an escalation.
Can I interrupt for 1 second though?
Go for it.
By not understanding that it's not about the plate, what that approach does is it makes the other person feel like their feelings of feeling unappreciated and feeling unseen is irrelevant.
Not only just irrelevant, wrong.
Yep. Exactly. And that's where the real hurt and real wounding in relationship is going to come from. And so it sounds crazy. Like, have you ever heard a line like, oh, no one gets divorced over a dish in the sink or the toilet seat being left up? No one gets divorced over that. Yeah. But actually it's the harm that's done in the inability to understand what's really going on for people. Because yes, you're so right that it's illogical, but by trying to point out how trivial and silly and ridiculous it is to be upset over a dish, you're actually saying it's trivial and ridiculous that you feel unappreciated and unseen and unloved, instead of really witnessing that person and going, hey, what's really going on for you right now? Like, mind-blowing.
And so some things I would have done in a previous version of me would sort of say, so basically how you see me or the value I bring to this household is if that dish is not there. Right? So not only that, I'm taking this all-in approach to really sort of invalidate the emotion, right? Because I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm trying to get to the logic of it, right? Because the logical brain will go, there's a problem, you have a reaction, this was because of this plate, so the only way to go back and not have this thing is to not make sure the plate's there. So if I focus all my effort on the plates, then we'll never have another argument again. Is that what you're telling me? Right? So this is devoid of emotion.
Such a male logical approach to things with an inability to understand the emotional undertone and the emotional needs of the
exactly,
of the
and then
female,
take it with someone
generally.
Then have it with someone who's reasonably articulate with how they can express their logic against someone who's emotional and not being heard, not being seen, and who's going to win the argument?
No one, actually. There's no winner.
No one. But the thing is, it's sort of like you're left with sort of going, okay, so that's all I need to do. Okay, so I won't do anything else around the house. I'll just do the dishes. Yeah. So because then... Or another response, and I think for those playing at home, we're going through we're just exploring what's going on here. Yeah. And now we're going to start to go into, well, what other scenarios could play out here? Then we'll go back to what's a healed response or a way in which to be curious to try and find a level playing ground where both people can be seen, heard. Another way to that the other person could react, as in, let's just say the male or the one being accused of leaving the plate, is they will passive aggressively clean the plate, right? So you can really tell they're not interested in understanding. They're doing it under protest, and generally it's like, is this all you need? I'll just wash the dish and bang, 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 bang.
Are you happy now?
Ooh, signed,
I've heard
sealed,
that before.
And delivered.
I have definitely been on the receiving end of that before.
Yep. And then what do you got to worry about now? Even though the hurt and everything's just, by this point, absolutely gushing. Like there's emotional blood everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, I've been and I've participated and I've created these arguments where suddenly it starts off with the dish and you end up escalating, and then you've got both people trying to justify their feeling.
Yeah, and to be right.
And, the funny thing is I've had this in 2 marriages. What's the one common denominator? right? This guy. So I understand that this is probably what I've brought into relationships in the past, hence brought past tense, that when you end up going into that feedback loop, whether you are the one instigating it, this guy, or the other one trying to participate, the other person, you end up arguing then about stuff that's never, like, it's so far away from the dish. And then it's probably in the same stratosphere as the hurt, but now we're talking about logic and other things and patterns and behaviors and things that you do, and it just ends up being an absolute all-out who can recall the most about the other person that justifies the fact that they need to change.
Yeah, 100%.
And the hurt that's created there, and I can only see this with, looking back, immeasurable.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important how you gave a different scenario of like, well, how else could they have reacted? And you gave that passive aggressive. And that's really about understanding our different stress responses, right? Because if I have been triggered into my reactive state by seeing the dish, and then my reaction has triggered you into your reactive state by reacting, then both of us are now in our fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses.
Yep.
That's what our behaviors are being driven by. And so I look at it and go, okay, what could this have looked like? If I went into fight, I'm going to snap at you. And if you go into fight, you'll snap back and we'll end up in a yelling match. Or I might go into fight and you go into freeze, or you might go into flight. You might walk away. You might just go, oh, I'm done with this. Or you might shut down and completely leave the conversation, which then triggers me even more, because then I go into this feeling of, you just abandoned me. You don't even care. If you cared, then you would have blah, 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 right?
And also cue every other time in your mind that you've recalled that has reinforced that feeling.
Exactly. And so the thing that's so hard is no one in a relationship is intentionally trying to hurt the other person. But when our nervous systems are so focused on just surviving and like just our own self-preservation, our reactions, our survival reactions, are going to result in hurt. And I think that's a really hard outcome, because it's the product of two people being in this reactive state where they're literally bouncing off each other's reactions over big and little things that ultimately leads to the end of the relationship. It's not the thing itself. And I think that's a really, really important point, is you need to understand what's the real fight here, because it's not about the dish.
Absolutely. One thing I do really want to point out here, guys, that we are, guys and girls, we are talking about a hypothetical scenario. And
and this is completely like...
Now, Ash said something, I sort of went, oh, interesting. So people don't deliberately want to hurt you. Now, in extreme circumstances, there are people that do.
Well,
right?
that's true.
For and we're not talking about those kind of situations, because sometimes people, for whatever reason, for whatever's going on, there are times where you need to just really sort of step back, zoom out, find safety, go do that.
Absolutely. And on that, I actually just want to touch on, big plug for 1-800-RESPECT. If you're based in Australia and you actually have someone who is intentionally trying to harm you, call 1-800-RESPECT. They are amazing.
Yeah, or even if you're unsure, right? Even if it's just sort of like, I'm not sure, more information is powerful.
Yes.
But coming back to this scenario, we're really sort of talking about people who are acting out of their triggers and wounds, that for a majority of the time, this is what's happening. And generally at that point in time, we're dealing with good people who are acting out in these points that you simply don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I would like to go through, in this scenario, if one or both of them had a healed response to it, what would that look like?
Yeah, so basically how to prevent it. How to prevent this from happening. Now,
I'll take the side of the person who thinks the dish is irrelevant.
Okay.
You can take the person that thinks the dish is...
So we're role-playing a healthier scenario. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't necessarily need to do the full role play, but
Sure.
you take the opinion of that.
Great. Instead of okay, so seeing the dish, first of all, I'm going to recognize that there is a response in my body, and I'm going to go, whoa, what is that about? And then I'm going to get my phone, go to the notes that I have in my phone that says everything is an opportunity for healing if you allow it to be. And I'm going to write in there, unpack why a dirty dish in the sink is so triggering for me. And then later I'm going to go and deal with what that's really about. So there's a whole entire...
That note section is better write it here than a punch in the face. Gotcha.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. This is like, oh, interesting. That really triggered me. Note for future Ash. Work out what's going on there, right? So that's what I would do. But then rather than leading with frustration, a healed version of me would probably try to express my core emotion. Like I might say something like, hey, I've been feeling really overwhelmed with housework lately, and I would really appreciate some help. Can you please clean the dish? I've already cleaned up the kitchen. And I might say something like that, which is about me expressing, hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I'm inviting you to come and support me in that overwhelm, and being really explicit about what I'm asking you to do. Does that feel okay to receive, or does it feel triggery?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like, I mean, I think that what I would add to that is to sort of say it may not be you're overwhelmed with housework. It could be, I feel as though you don't support me. But finding it in a way which is, this is a sensation that's coming up. I don't know how to express it, but the best way to say it, and I don't want you to feel as though this is an attack, but I'm feeling alone.
Yeah.
I'm feeling as though this dish kind of represents that, and this dish then makes me want to think of other things. But
yeah, they're very advanced conversations.
Well,
at the very start of a journey, most people would not be able, until they've each unpacked their own stuff and learned the skills to be able to have those very open and honest conversations. That is beyond most people. So from my experience,
aspirational
couples that I've worked with for months will start to have those conversations. But early on, the focus is not about saying what you think, but about recognizing what you're thinking and working out what can I say to get the need met in a way that's going to be safe for the other person, because that you're still going to be highly triggered and vulnerable to being triggered. So I need to be able to communicate that in a way that doesn't feel activating for you.
So we're talking about like the beginning steps.
I feel alone and you are still deep in shame. You're going to take that as nothing I do is good enough. I'm not enough for you. Yeah. You shouldn't feel alone, right? So you've got work to do in processing your deep shame and trauma to be able to even hear that. So whereas I've been feeling overwhelmed and I would really appreciate your help. Can you please clean the dish and put it away because I had already cleaned up this kitchen? That would really, really help me. It's not saying, to me, for the average person, it's not saying, there's nothing really triggery in there.
Yes. I went to, as you said, like we'll say advanced, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to beginner.
Yeah.
But certainly expressing what it means in a calm way.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean you have to be a bottle of Valium, right? But it doesn't mean that, like, you can still be activated and express yourself.
Yeah.
And still be like a little bit nervous, but with the intention of, I want to get this message across and I want to know and I want to receive your feedback on it from starting that conversation.
Yeah.
Now, from the other side, maybe, you know.
So respond to me. So I've just said that to you.
No, I'm going to respond in the fact that, let's just say, for example, you've seen a dish and all of those feelings came up, and you were reactive.
Oh, okay. So you want to go down that path first?
Yep. Let's go down that path first.
Oh, okay. So right? I'm unhealed, but you're responding in a healed way.
I'll say you're very reactive for whatever reason, right?
Cool.
You could be healed having a really crap day or, right, all of that because, you know, it all happens to the best of us.
Uh-huh.
How does that response look like first?
Yeah.
Okay. So as the person that left the dish is not on the radar, completely think about something else, whether it be work, while the Roman Empire fell, whatever it is, right? Just add,
and I come along and be like, why did you leave the dish in the sink?
You just walk past it. How the hell do you think that? Like very, very reactive.
Yeah.
This just shows me, you do this all the time, whatever it is, right?
Love me well right now. What are you going to do?
Well, the first thing I would sort of say is it seems like you're very heightened by something I've done. Would you like a cup of tea? Would you like a cup of coffee? Do you have time to talk about this now? Or would you like me to respond later on? Or do you just want me to listen?
Yeah.
Right? My daughter's taught me so well with this. Because it might just be that you need this emotion to come through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just you need to feel that rage. You need to feel seen. You need to feel heard. And this does not need to be solved right now. The solution from a male or logical perspective is to just hear, listen. And through that, you're then going, I see you, I hear you, I know something's wrong, but we'll figure this one out.
Yeah.
So it's giving those things. And so not being reactive is the way to do it. But coming at it from...
So you're responding.
Responding, absolutely.
I think I mentioned in our last episode about responsive, why we called the parenting course responsive parenting. And it's exactly the same with this. It's about how do we respond to the situation rather than react to the reaction.
And so from there, then you can sort of gauge, because like you can't force your will onto someone that's that emotional, right? Would you like a cuddle? Right, we'll figure the plate out and everything it represents. Would you like some comfort? What would you like? Sit down, right? Can I massage your shoulders? Don't touch me. You touch the damn dish. Don't touch me. Like whatever it is, give it time. And from my perspective, this was a very hard thing to understand, because problems, the definition of a problem is the negative difference between an expected outcome and the outcome. That's the definition of a problem. Close a gap, there is no problem. So for my logical mind, I'll just go target the dish, problem gone, right? But sometimes, and I remember having this conversation with my daughter because she was having this really big feelings, and I may have shared it, I'm pretty sure I did, but I think it's very relevant, about her changing schools. She was having a big emotion. I made the decision she needed to move. This was on the basis that she was not happy at her previous school and a fix needed to happen. And there was some toing and froing. Is she, isn't she, isn't she, is she? And she kept on being in this state of limbo. So I made the decision, you're going. And when she found that out, even though she was part of the decision making to start off with, I stopped her being able to have the option of going backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
She was dirty. Oh, she was so upset.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like crap. And it's sort of like, oh, I'm feeling crap because I made her feel like crap, and I need her to stop feeling like crap, so I stopped feeling like crap. But this was all in my mind, and on top of that, she made it very apparent she felt like crap because she wouldn't go into a room or anything. I didn't tell her to do anything. She sat and was around me the whole time, showing me she was upset through body language.
Yeah.
And I'm there going, why are you making, like, I'm doing this for your own good. Why are you making me, like, this is not easy for me. Why do you think? Anyway, later on, because she had a hoodie on and did it up, so I could only see this. But she was sitting in the kitchen, knees up on the chair and all that. So as the hoodie sort of started to open and came down, I said to her, I know you're upset and this is a pretty difficult thing for you, but would you like to talk about it, or did you just want me to sit and I'll just listen? And she said, yes, I'd like to talk and you just listen. And then the first thing that came out of her mouth was basically, why do I have to move when you said that, it was basically an attack on me. And sort of like, oh, I could find myself going, well, I have to justify this, right? And I even said in the moment, is that something you want me to answer, or do you just want to express it?
Yeah.
And she says, I just want to express it. And I'm thinking to myself, holy hell, what the hell's going on here? Right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly that led on to a whole lot of other feelings about things that I have done that, that has made her feel bad. And then I just sat and she talked and she expressed and there was tears and sobbing and all of this. And then at the end, I'm like, what do you need from me? She goes, can I have a hug? And then she was right. And I'm there going, what the hell just happened? I didn't fix anything. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Where my logical brain's thinking what I have to do is go through A, B, C, 1, 2, 3.
All of my pros. I have to show her my pro and con list about why I made this choice and justify it to her. So then she's on board and she knows. Yeah. It's wild. That's such a powerful story.
So when you apply it to the dish, right, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. The solution might just be, instead of you actually saying, I'm going to sit and make you feel seen. It's like, really? You're going to make me feel seen, are you? The only way you can
stare at you like a psycho with really wide open eyes.
But it's like, okay, you can't tell someone, I'm going to make you feel safe and be seen. You can't tell them that.
No.
You just make them feel that way through what you do, through the embodiment of your own actions.
That's right. Through responsive.
So it's like, have I done anything? Well, in my logical brain, when it came to my daughter, I have done nothing except sit. I mean, I could have been a stuffed toy.
Yeah.
However, it was what I did and what I embodied and what I showed, and, the energy and the regulation. That whole thing meant that she was safe to express her emotions, even though it was about me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I took it as, this is a crap sandwich you're going to have to eat, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to do it alone.
Mm.
And so I think the same thing that happens that when there's someone reactive, yes, as you said, you respond. And I'm going to respond to that and sort of go, okay, I'm not going to tell you, sweetheart, I don't think you're responding about the plate. You're having a traumatic response about something else. You tell someone that when they're activated like that, that's another one to put on the punch him in the face list. Right? How about that? Someone, imagine coming at it with all this embodied knowledge, and then you psychoanalyze someone who's reacting.
I've definitely done that.
Let that one down. Okay. So it's really just about taking everything, don't announce it, just do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally.
And then
so look, I think the final takeaway is, who's the asshole in this scenario? Well,
the plate.
It's actually no one.
It's the plate.
It's not the person who's upset about the dish. They're not the asshole. But their frustration is about something that's so much deeper than the dish. And if they don't learn how to communicate that clearly, well, then it's going to continue to come across as blowing up over nothing. And I see, is the person who left the dish the asshole? No, because they weren't maliciously trying to do anything wrong, but dismissing their partner's feelings can make things worse. So their learning in this is really about, I guess, emotional intelligence, understanding how to respond rather than react, to be able to understand that the problem that you think is the problem is not the real problem, but how can you both approach the situation where you are feeling really seen, heard, and valued? And I literally ask that question when I'm working with clients. I'll say, if you were feeling really seen, heard, and valued, what would that look, feel, or sound like?
Yeah.
And that's literally how we coach the other person in the relationship to know how to respond to things in ways that help them to feel seen, that help them to feel valued. Because when we try and guess our way through it, we're going to get it wrong. So powerful. I loved that. That was deep. Hopefully it was helpful. Let us know, guys.
AITA.
AITA. And also, you can submit scenarios and we will unpack it anonymously. If you have something that triggers you, or if there's a scenario or situation that's happening in your own world, send it in and we will unpack it anonymously for you in a deep dive session like this on air. Literally like free coaching, guys. So you might as well.
Coaching from someone's perspective. But
free coaching. There's a great level of insight. So hopefully this episode helped you to understand and you can apply it. Like I loved that, you, Dave, talked about this. It could be the dishes, or it could be the dirty clothes, or it could be, whatever it is. What's really going on in conflict in relationship. Really powerful. Love it.
And let us know, do you like these? Like we're changing. So from episode 100, we said we're going to change things up. We're doing some different sort of styles of podcasts. So you would have seen some of our top tips. This is a AITA. We'll also have our, old and faithful sort of just looking at a theme and exploring it and storytelling. But let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Let us know any of your suggestions. Comment, thumbs up. If you think this is going to be beneficial for somebody else, let them know. Share it.
Absolutely. And also, we created a whole bunch of resources that are teaching into this stuff in a whole entire free email series. So we'll make sure we include the link to that below. If you do want to learn, like if you're hungry to learn more about what's really going on in relationships, what's really going on in conflict, what's really happening in communication, we've got email series that covers relationships. We've got email series around parenting, about mental health, a whole heap of different things, and it's completely free. It's literally my best coaching stuff from working with clients all around the world for lots of years now. And you get access to that for free. So jump on that. And since this is a relationships episode, you can also jump on the wait list for our upcoming relationship course.
Ooh.
Exciting. Haven't even told you about that, Dave.
Love that.
Love it. I love.
Yeah,
awesome.
great.
See you soon, guys.
Till next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.